So you're finally coming for the things I love. So since it's 2018 and everything's offensive in 2018, now one of my favorite, if not my favorite series, is coming under controversy for a non-issue. So as you've seen probably by now, a vocal minority on the internet are complaining about Mr. Game & Watch's Forward Smash because they're saying it depicts Native Americans in a racist light. And personally, I'll get into it in a second, I'll show you. And so, when I saw this, I seriously didn't even know it was a Native American. I thought it was a bandit. Look at this. Does this scream Native American to you? I don't see it at all. And then I see things in this picture that are way more of possibly, oh my goodness, suggestively offensive than the supposed feather, which I thought was a bandana. So that's why I don't understand why people are offended. But you have tweets like what this person tweeted. Please check and spread the below thread from Reset Era. Mr. Game & Watch's new Forward Smash in Smash Ultimate is a direct reference to a Game & Watch featuring racist depictions of Native American. I am Native and this hurts. Can you help? Well, okay, dude, like, for real, this is the kind of attitude I always hate. That it's something that's just, it was a stereotype. Not all stereotypes are racist. And you're talking about how it hurts you deeply and you want Nintendo to step in and help. And honestly, I feel like Nintendo is gonna do it because they really don't like going anywhere near controversy. They tend to avoid it. But I really actually, I hope they don't. And I really just, you can't scream for everything to be taken out of a game you don't like. We can't start going down this. Everyone will be offended at something. We can't just start taking everything out of games that somebody doesn't like. And look, the people I'm seeing who are against it are a vocal minority. And the ones who try to use that intersectional view of we should listen to Native American voices first, I'm half Native, so if you want to play that game, we'll play that game. I don't want to, but I know some people are going to go for that. But what surprised me was going on the Smash subreddit, which I thought was a lot of level-headed people, and there were, but as soon as we got somewhat politically driven, oh geez, it got polarized real quick. You know, some people with very reasonable arguments that I disagreed with, and some people who were complete loonies. And I was gonna just pick out the ones that I think fairly show both sides of the argument. Now, I'm on the side of I don't think they should take this out, and I don't see it as offensive. Just so you know which side I stand on. But I'm gonna read both sides out and try to be as reasonable as possible. But with some of these, it's pretty difficult. And if you find any of these comments anywhere, do not bother these people. Do not send them mean messages. Just leave them alone. Let them have their opinions. Go about your day. Because if you don't, you're just as bad, if not worse. So please don't do that. Okay, the first guy. Nintendo is usually pretty averse to political controversy in its video games. The release version of Fire Attack and the Game & Watch Gallery 4 for the GBA removed the feathers on the head, so they just look like generic bandits instead. Don't worry, this will probably stay in the Japanese version, but be changed in the North American and European releases. And I think this guy's dead on. This is probably what's gonna happen. Nintendo always wants to be the most family-friendly company ever, so you do know if some people will get offended and they're loud enough, they might cave to it. They didn't with the Mario Odyssey poncho thing. I'm happy they didn't do it with that either. So maybe they won't, but we'll see. This guy, which I completely agree with, without knowing the context, it's hard to even realize that that's supposed to be a Native American. You could have told me it was a bandit with a bandana and I would have believed it. Thank you! That's what I thought it was too! I had to be pointed out that it's a feather. It's like, so, and most people I know who I asked about this thought it was a bandana too. The only people who are getting offended are telling other people that this is offensive most of the time. So this guy, I think, he's reasonable, but I disagree with him. I've seen a comment complaining about how we'll encourage racial stereotypes in children. I saw that animation, and to me, all it looked like was Mr. Game & Watch just put on a bandana and a pair of eyes. If I wasn't able to see any racial connotations in that, I doubt children will either. That's absolutely right. Especially since Mr. Game & Watch doesn't really have a real-world race. I totally get it could bring back memories for the people who lived during the time of those depictions angle, though, and I would be okay with Nintendo replacing the animation for those reasons. Well, my question is, do the people who lived during those times where those depictions were around, does that audience even play Smash? Like, I also think your audience matters. That's why I don't like when game devs cave to SJWs who want them to censor things in games that they don't even play. And I think one of the responses to this guy was pretty dead on as well. You can have empathy and still criticize people for overreacting to 2 seconds of animation. Thank you. There are different levels of stereotyping and racism and stuff, and we can't put everything on the same level. This is just, I see it as a completely non-offensive stereotype during a time where fucked up things happened. Because if you want to make this argument, you can make the same argument, because it was like, it's a guy in a wooden fort with people trying to burn it down. They said, oh, Native Americans are savages with torches. Look, dude, when you have a wooden fort in a fight, people are going to try to light it on fire and burn it down. If you switch the roles, it wouldn't matter either. It wouldn't make it racist. What if they had a British guy with crazy white hair, jacked up teeth, with a teacup in his hand and a huge upper body and tiny little feet? I doubt people would be screaming racist. It's like, that's what people did at those times. And then the thing is, the guy's not even killing them. Look at this. He's just bopping them with a hammer. They don't even die. I've seen more violence in an episode of Puppet Pals, man.
Can you guess what my favorite kind of horse is? A Clydesdale? Nope, a bucking bronco.
Like, come on. And this guy, I feel like he doesn't understand the counter argument at all. I'm just going with the lower half. If this Native American is genuinely offended by how this portrays them, then the only form of action that would be morally wrong for me, as someone who doesn't care, would be to take obstructing them from feeling comfortable in how they see this. You are allowed to think this isn't important. You aren't allowed to get self-righteous about how unimportant it is. Grow up and let things change, because it really doesn't matter. Why are you bitching incessantly? Okay, and I think you're missing the point completely, dude. There's gonna be something in every game in 2018 that offends someone at some point for some reason. You've seen this with games with characters from left and right. And I don't like when either side does it. When if you have a white guy, people freak out because it's another white guy. Oh Jesus. Well, if it's a black guy, they're being, oh, you're just being politically correct. It's like, I don't like that attitude. And then when you say, and this is where you come off as more self-righteous by saying you're allowed to think this isn't important, but you aren't allowed to get self-righteous in how unimportant it is. Grow up and let things change. Do you not understand that comes off as insanely self-righteous of you and saying, because someone's offended, you should just let it change? And again, that goes back to my previous argument of going, this is why companies bow to people who don't play their games, and then it hurts their sales. Boom! Battlefield 5. I'm not Native American, nor am I expert on Native Americans. However, we should not just toss off these concerns as being political correctness gone wild, or, well, the Japanese wouldn't have known about this, or, lol, it's just like 2 frames. Video games have an ugly history with Native Americans. Google Custer's Revenge, or better yet, don't. Having Mr. Game & Watch turn into an antagonistic stereotype, acknowledge that unintentionally or not, but doesn't provide any context. We shouldn't just ignore it, and neither should Nintendo, even if enough people have legitimate concerns. Maybe having a few people complain about Twitter isn't that, but maybe it is. I don't know, we just can't assume things. Well, one, no, video games don't have an ugly history of Native Americans. You've named Custer's Revenge, which was some screwy weirdo in his basement who made it. That wasn't even allowed to be sold in stores unless it was like in a back in an unmarked case at the time. And you need to give more modern examples. Or at least more than one-off weirdo in his basement who made Rape Simulator. Which again, it was a disgusting game. But most of the time, I'm seeing Native Americans portrayed stereotypically in games, but they're not the bad ones. All the stereotypes I see of Native Americans in games are the generic strong warrior, one with nature, or really wise, or something along that nature. I mean, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but it's like, when did that become bad to display someone's positive stereotypes? I'm like, would you rather all Native Americans show up wearing jeans, jean shirts, jean jackets, gambling, spitting out tobacco, and having a severe alcohol addiction? I mean, I'm just saying that was a bit of a tangent, but okay. I don't think this needs to be urgently changed or patched out since an obscure reference and not many people would be aware that he's referencing a Native American. Nintendo might change him into a bandit exclusively for North America, which that's what I thought they would do. But still, we shouldn't ignore or underplay how hurtful this is to Native Americans. No one likes to be depicted as a savage monster, or dehumanized and depicted as a savage monster. Well, no, I would actually argue you would have to be extremely oversensitive to have this actually hurt you. And again, just to play to the, oh, Native Americans, you're offended, I'm speaking as somebody who is. And I don't see how this is hurtful. And I agree at one point where no one does like to be depicted as a savage monster, which, have you looked at that game again? Does that look like something savage? I'm literally looking at stick figures bonking each other. And if you want to get into more historical context, this is coming off the game, but were they not savages? Were the colonists not savages? Everybody was back then. Everyone was doing horrible things. The tribes were fighting each other. The whites were colonizing and being savages as well. And then you had the Aztecs and Mayans being savages. And then you had the Spaniards who were coming over being savages. Just everybody was. And here we get into people who are just... Somebody in the garbage fire of a Twitter thread claimed that it's the same as Mario being a stereotype of Italian people. Yeah, because a portly little man with a cartoonish accent and a mustache is the same as perpetuating racist stereotypes about an entire ethnic group that were systematically slaughtered by colonial invaders and continue to bear the brunt of this historic oppression today. Okay, 1, of course Native Americans got it the worst. 2, they're not oppressed today. I mean, going into why they're in the state they're in is a whole nother video that I probably do on my other channel. 3, are you saying because they were treated poorly and oppressed by Americans back then that we can't have these stereotypes about them? And that Italians shouldn't? Do you remember Italians were also oppressed in early America? Obviously not as bad as the Native Americans. But still, that logic train would say that Mario is racist and we can't do that. Here's another person that's just strawmanning the crap out of people. One person tweeting, I don't like this obviously racist thing very much. 13,000 instantly triggered game dudes. And then just goes off on all this massive straw man. I'll let you read it for yourself on that one. But it's like, that's not what happened. Let's be honest. And this person, if I was gonna say someone was an SJW in here, I think I found one. How come these minorities think they know what's best for them instead of me? A middle-class white male teenager with a limited knowledge of how banks work, let alone the plight of Native Americans for the past 500 years. Wow, there was a lot of assumptions in there. Also, have you noticed most SJWs I see who are being offended for everything are usually white people, and the ones who aren't offended are the groups that they're telling them they're being offended? That's just something I've noticed. But wow, again, way to shit on gamers, assuming everybody who disagrees with you is a middle-class white male teenager with limited knowledges of how banks work. And then here we go with, this is, again, more crap, but it's so funny. It's pretty disheartening that nearly an entire ethnic group has faced damn near genocide over the course of the last 500 years, and what little voice any of them have is met with vitriol and trolling. And when somebody mentions that something in a video game is offensively painting them as a violent group of people that sets fires and stole from the people that colonized them. Again, assumptions in there, dude. 1, they're not shutting out the voices of Native Americans. They're pointing out, I've only seen like 1 or 2 that said they were actually offended, and telling them that they're overreacting to something that's not offensive is not silencing their voice. They can respond back with, I think that's why I'm offended. There aren't people shouting him down. There are the people who think it's ridiculous that something like this is even a controversy. And second, where did you get, again, setting fires and stole from people that colonized them? That was a big what if in there. I just see a person in a fort trying to burn down a fort because it's made of wood during a battle. Obviously we know the time period it's set, but if we flipped it, again, I would feel the same about it. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if this was already patched out. You're all being rude. This is actually a racist stereotype no matter which way you twist it. Is it a huge deal? No, but it should probably change in my opinion. Okay, but you didn't actually explain why it's a racist stereotype. You just said it is no matter which way you twist it, and you didn't explain why. You gotta explain why. This guy, oh fuck them for having most of their race slaughtered, branded the real savages, and facing real-world consequences for this shit, am I right? We all know gamers are the true oppressed minority. We live through the Trail of Tears every day. Again, why are all the people arguing just, like, pulling out crap that's saying, I don't like this, therefore I'm the true oppressed. Like, where did you get that? I don't understand these people. And again, as far as savages go, every group was a savage back then. They were all acting like savage assholes. Obviously some more than others, but we're still saying, I don't like this whole... It was such a peaceful time, and then the white people attacked. That's not how it happened, let's be honest. Stop bitching. There is literally nothing wrong with campaigning to get it removed. There's literally everything wrong with it in this game. It's an offensive stereotype of Native American people. Hopefully if Nintendo America removes it. A lot of them are on Reddit, blah 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 blah. Again, shutting out the counter-argument. Right away. Just saying, stop bitching. There's nothing wrong, and there is everything wrong with it being in the game. And I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna listen and address your arguments. I'm just gonna tell you to stop bitching. Oh god, come on. I really hope Nintendo doesn't cave and change this for that stupid reason. Who fucking cares? It's a reference to an old game. It's their fault for taking shit like this offensively. I can't imagine being legitimately offended by such small things like this. I feel they're just doing this to see how much power they have in getting things changed in an official game. I really hope it goes ignored. And I think for the most part he's right. A lot of this outrage culture is about power. But that's a video from my other channel. But I will say, it's about how much power and force they have over you. And I'm gonna end it on my favorite guy. I'm gonna end on my favorite guy that just had the same reaction I did. All right, a single feather absolutely enrages me. Yeah, I really ended on that. That guy got it just right. All right, have a good rest of the day, everyone. I'm out.